The crystalline spires of Nova Lumina reached toward the violet sky, their surfaces refracting starlight in mesmerizing patterns. The Etherians had built their civilization around the manipulation of light and energy, creating technology that seemed like magic to most other species. But today, those same spires cast ominous shadows over the streets below. Commander Lyra stood at the observation deck of the Central Archives, her translucent skin pulsing with worried patterns of blue light. The reports coming in from across their world were growing worse by the hour. The crystalline plague had appeared without warning 3 cycles ago, turning their people's natural bioluminescence into a weapon against them. High Counselor, her assistant's voice wavered. Another district has gone dark. The quarantine protocols aren't working. The plague was unlike anything they'd seen before. It started with a dimming of their natural light, then progressed to crystallization of their cellular structure. Once it took hold, it spread rapidly through their light-based communication networks. The very technology that had made their civilization great was now becoming their undoing. The Galactic Council, that grand assembly of spacefaring races that had welcomed the Etherians centuries ago, had initially offered aid. But as the plague's true nature became apparent, that support quickly evaporated. The Volteri, masters of biological sciences, were the first to withdraw their research teams. The militaristic Kreks followed, citing containment protocols. One by one, their supposed allies abandoned them. They fear what they don't understand. Lyra's chief scientist, Helios, said bitterly. His own luminescence was noticeably dimmer, the first sign of infection. Our entire species could be gone within a year, and they choose to watch from a safe distance. Lyra's patterns shifted to a deep purple of determination. Then we must save ourselves. Focus all remaining resources on understanding this plague. There must be a pattern we're missing. But as the days turned to weeks, hope grew scarcer than starlight in the void. The plague accelerated, leaving crystallized husks where once proud Etherians had stood. Their population, once numbering in the billions, was rapidly declining. Their cities, once beacons of enlightenment and art, were becoming silent tombs of crystal and shadow. The final blow came when the Galactic Council officially quarantined the entire Etherian system. No ships could enter or leave. No aid would be permitted. They were being left to die, abandoned by those they had called friends and allies for generations. In their darkest hour, the Etherians turned to their ancient practice of light meditation, seeking answers in the fundamental forces that had shaped their evolution. But even as they searched for understanding, a new light was about to enter their system, one that would change everything. On the edges of their space, a small ship of unfamiliar design dropped out of FTL travel. Its hull bore markings unknown to Etherian sensors, and its technology was primitive by their standards. But aboard that ship were beings whose determination would rewrite the story of an entire species. The humans had arrived. Unknown vessel detected at the system's edge, reported the automated defense system. Configuration matches no known Galactic Council design. Lyra studied the holographic projection with failing eyes. The ship was crude by their standards, all sharp angles and visible propulsion systems, but there was something about its approach. Direct, unwavering, purposeful. "They're broadcasting a message," her assistant announced. "Audio only, no light spectrum components. Translating now." The voice that filled the chamber was unlike anything they had heard before. It carried something the Etherians had almost forgotten existed: hope. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth vessel Horizon. We've detected signs of a civilization in distress. We're here to help." Lyra's patterns flickered with a mixture of surprise and suspicion. Help, after so many had turned their backs. Who were these beings that would risk the Council's wrath to approach a quarantine system? But as she watched the human ship continue its steady approach, she realized they had nothing left to lose. Perhaps these newcomers, these humans, would be different. Perhaps they would be the ones to prove that compassion could exist even in the darkest corners of space. "Prepare for contact," she ordered, her own light strengthening slightly with renewed purpose. Let's see what these humans have to offer. The plague continued its relentless advance through their world, but for the first time in months, a new light had appeared on their horizon. Whether it would bring salvation or false hope remained to be seen, but at least they were no longer alone in the darkness. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the viewport of the horizon, watching the crystalline cities of Nova Lumina grow larger as they descended through the atmosphere. The spectacle before her was both beautiful and haunting. Towers that seemed to be made of pure light, now dimming like dying stars. Bioscanners are going crazy, Dr. Marcus Rivera reported from his station. Whatever's affecting them, it's unlike anything in our database. The crystallization process appears to be rewriting their cellular structure at a quantum level. The Horizon had stumbled upon the Aetherian system by accident during a deep space survey mission. What they found was a civilization on the brink of extinction, abandoned by their allies, and fighting a losing battle against an engineered plague. Their landing zone was a cleared platform near the central archives. As the ship touched down, Sarah noticed the gathered crowd of Aetherians, their translucent bodies pulsing with weak light patterns, many already showing signs of crystallization. "Remember," Sarah addressed her crew, "we're guests here. These people have been betrayed by everyone they trusted. Let's show them humanity is different." The airlock cycled, and Sarah led her team out onto the platform. The alien air was thick with a sweet metallic taste. Commander Lyra waited for them, her form more crystal than light now, but still maintaining a dignified presence. "Welcome to what remains of Nova Lumina." Lyra's words were translated through their comms. "Though I must ask, why have you come when all others have fled?" Sarah stepped forward, removing her helmet in a gesture of trust. "Because where I come from, we don't abandon people in need. My crew includes some of Earth's best scientists and doctors. We've brought everything we could think of to help. Even though your own council representatives warned you against coming." Lyra's patterns shifted in what Sarah's cultural training suggested was surprise. "Especially because of that," Sarah replied. "Earth doesn't always agree with council policies. We believe in making our own decisions." The next few days were a blur of activity. Dr. Rivera and his team worked alongside Aetherian scientists, studying the plague's progression and testing potential treatments. The humans' fresh perspective and different approach to science proved valuable, even as the situation grew more dire. "The plague is targeting their light-processing organs," Rivera explained during a briefing. "It's not just killing them. It's turning them into living crystals, conscious but trapped in their own bodies." Sarah felt her fists clench. "How long?" "At current progression rates, maybe 3 months before the entire population is crystallized, unless we can find a way to stop it." The news from Earth was equally troubling. The Galactic Council had officially censured humanity for breaking quarantine. Demands were made for the Horizon to withdraw immediately or face sanctions. Sarah's response to Earth Command was brief. "We're staying. Send help or don't, but we won't abandon them." Support ships arrived from Earth a week later, carrying more scientists, supplies, and hope. Humanity had made its choice. They would stand with the Aetherians, regardless of the consequences. Working together, human and Aetherian researchers began to uncover disturbing patterns in the plague's design. This was no natural disaster. The crystallization process was too precise, too targeted to their specific biology. "Someone engineered this," Rivera announced one evening, his face grim. "They wanted to make sure the Aetherians would suffer before they died. The question is, who and why?" As if in answer, long-range sensors detected multiple ships entering the system. They weren't Earth vessels. The Council had decided to enforce their quarantine personally. "Captain," Lyra's weakening voice carried an edge of fear, "you don't have to stay. Your people have already done more than we could have hoped for. We won't hold it against you if you leave." Sarah watched the approaching Council ships on the tactical display. They were larger, more advanced, and certainly better armed than the human vessels. But she had seen too much, learned too much about these people to abandon them now. "Commander Lyra, she said firmly. Humanity doesn't just help when it's easy. We help because it's right. Whatever comes next, we face it together. The council ships drew closer, their intentions clear. But in the labs below, human and Aetherian scientists continued their work, racing against time to save a species. The real battle was just beginning, and humanity had chosen its side. Would their determination be enough to save the Aetherians? Only time would tell. But one thing was certain. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's compassion was matched only by their stubbornness when fighting for what they believed in. The Council battleships hung in Nova Lumina's orbit like dark stars, their weapons primed. Below, in the sprawling research complex, Dr. Rivera stared at his microscope screen with bloodshot eyes. The crystalline structure of the plague had finally revealed its secret. "It's a signature," he announced to the gathered team of human and Aetherian scientists. Someone encoded their identity right into the plague's molecular structure. Captain Chen leaned forward, her face illuminated by the holographic display. "Who?" "The Volteri." Rivera's voice was hard. "The same ones who pulled their research teams first. They didn't leave because they were afraid. They left because they created this." The revelation sent shockwaves through the room. The Volteri, respected members of the Galactic Council, had engineered the plague that was destroying the Aetherians. But why? Commander Lyra's crystallized form barely held any light now. "The quantum archives," she whispered. "They wanted our quantum computing technology. We refused to share it, believing it too dangerous in the wrong hands. So they decided to take it by force." Sarah finished. "Once you're all crystallized, they could claim your worlds as abandoned territory." A warning klaxon interrupted their discussion. The Council ships had launched fighters. Earth's small defensive fleet moved to intercept, but they were drastically outnumbered. "Captain," the Horizon's tactical officer called over the comm, "they're demanding our immediate withdrawal. They're threatening to open fire." Sarah looked at the dying Aetherians around her, at the human scientists working tirelessly to save them. They were so close to understanding the plague, possibly even developing a cure. She couldn't abandon them now. "Send them our proof," she ordered. "Show them what the Volteri did." The evidence was transmitted, but the Council ships didn't even pause. Their fighters pressed forward, forcing the human ships to either retreat or fight. "They don't care," Rivera said bitterly. "They're probably in on it." But as hope seemed to fade, an unexpected ally emerged. Deep in the Aetherian archives, a young human researcher named Maya Zhang made a discovery that would change everything. "The crystallization isn't just a weapon," she explained, her eyes bright with excitement. "It's a transformation. The Aetherians aren't dying. They're being forced to evolve into a form the Volteri can control. But if we can reverse engineer the process." The research teams worked frantically as the battle began in orbit. Human ships, though outnumbered, fought with desperate courage to buy them time. The Horizon's shields buckled under enemy fire, but Sarah refused to retreat. In the labs, Rivera and his Aetherian counterparts tested Maya's theory. The plague's crystalline structure could be unraveled using targeted quantum resonance, the very technology the Volteri had tried to steal. "It's working," Rivera reported, watching crystal revert to living light in their test samples. "But we need more power, more time." Above them, the battle reached its climax. Several human ships were damaged, their crews evacuating to the surface. The Council forces pressed their advantage, but they hadn't counted on humanity's determination. Sarah made a decision. "Direct all power from the Horizon to the research facility," she ordered, "including life support." "Captain," her XO protested, "that would leave us defenseless." "We didn't come here to fight," Sarah replied. "We came to save lives. All power to the labs." Now, the Horizon's engines went dark as its energy was diverted. The ship became a sitting target, but its sacrifice provided the power surge the scientists needed. Throughout Nova Lumina, the cure began to spread through the Aetherians' light-based networks. One by one, Crystallized forms began to pulse with light again. The plague's hold was breaking, but the battle wasn't over. The council ships, realizing what was happening, prepared their final attack. The next few hours would determine not just the fate of the Aetherians, but humanity's place in the galaxy. The line had been drawn. Would compassion triumph over politics? Would truth overcome betrayal? As Sarah watched her ship's power fade and the enemy approach, she knew one thing for certain. Humanity had made the right choice. Whatever came next, they would face it standing beside their new allies, proving that in humanity's darkest hour, their light shone brightest. The cure spread through Nova Lumina like a wave of light, reversing crystallization wherever it touched. But the Volteri weren't about to let their plans be undone so easily. Their flagship launched a barrage of quantum torpedoes at the defenseless horizon. All hands braced for impact. Sarah ordered, knowing their shields were depleted. The first torpedo was seconds from hitting when a burst of pure energy intercepted it, dissolving the warhead into harmless particles. Commander Lyra stood at the city's central spire, her form now fully restored, channeling the combined power of every recovered Aetherian. Their quantum manipulation abilities, no longer suppressed by crystallization, had awakened with new strength. "We will not be victims again." Lyra's voice resonated through both light and sound. The Aetherian defense grid, dormant for months, hummed back to life. Dr. Rivera's team had done more than create a cure. They had helped the Aetherians evolve. The plague intended to enslave them had instead forced them to adapt, to become stronger. Human innovation combined with Aetherian technology created something neither species could have achieved alone. The Volteri commander's face appeared on all channels. "This is your final warning. Withdraw now, or we will destroy every ship and station in this system." Sarah glanced at Lyra, who nodded. Together, they activated the quantum transmitter Maya had modified. Across every Galactic Council world, the truth of the Volteri's betrayal was broadcast. The plague's signature, the evidence of their genocide attempt, could no longer be hidden. "We will not withdraw," Sarah responded. "The Aetherians are under Earth's protection. If you want to destroy them, you'll have to destroy us first." The Volteri ships opened fire, but this time they faced a united defense. Human ships fought alongside awakened Aetherian vessels, their different technologies complementing each other perfectly. The horizon, though damaged, became a command center for the combined fleet. In the chaos of battle, Maya's voice cut through the comm channel. "Captain, the quantum resonance is building to critical levels. The Aetherians, they're doing something." The massive crystalline spires of Nova Lumina began to pulse with blinding light. The Aetherians had turned their entire city into a quantum weapon, but not one of destruction. The light washed over the Volteri fleet, and their ship systems began to fail. "What did you do?" the Volteri commander demanded, his signal breaking up. "We showed you mercy," Lyra replied. "Something you never showed us. Your weapons are disabled, your engines dead, you have lost." The battle ended not with destruction, but with revelation. Other council ships arrived, drawn by the quantum broadcast. The Volteri's crimes were exposed, their leadership arrested. The council that had abandoned the Aetherians now had to face its own corruption. Sarah watched from the horizon's bridge as rescue ships arrived from Earth. They had won, but the victory was bittersweet. Many had died, both human and Aetherian, to reach this point. "You know the council will never be the same after this," Lyra said, standing beside her. "Many worlds saw how humanity chose to stand with us when no one else would. We did what was right." Sarah replied simply, "That's all." But they both knew it was more than that. Humanity had proven itself not through military might or technological superiority, but through compassion and determination. They had defied the galaxy's most powerful forces to protect a species they barely knew, simply because it was the right thing to do. The Aetherians, forever changed by the experience, offered Earth a formal alliance. Their quantum technology, combined with human innovation, would change the course of both civilizations. But more importantly, they had forged a bond stronger than any political treaty, a shared understanding that true strength comes not from power, but from the willingness to stand up for others in their darkest hour. 1 year after the Battle of Nova Lumina, the crystalline spires once again gleamed with full brilliance. The city had become a symbol of resilience, its quantum-enhanced light visible from orbit. Captain Sarah Chen stood in the newly constructed Alliance chamber, watching representatives from dozens of worlds gather for the historic summit. The Galactic Council had undergone radical changes. The Volteri leadership's attempted genocide had exposed deep-rooted corruption, leading to reforms that transformed the organization. Humanity, once seen as primitive newcomers, now held a respected position among the stars. "The quantum network is ready," Dr. Rivera reported, his equipment interfacing seamlessly with Etherian technology. The breakthrough they'd made while fighting the plague had evolved into something revolutionary, a fusion of human ingenuity and Etherian mastery of light. Commander Lyra, her luminescence now stronger than ever, addressed the assembled delegates. "A year ago, we faced extinction, not just from the plague, but from the indifference of those we called allies. One species chose differently. They risked everything to save us, asking nothing in return." The Human-Etherian Alliance had become a model for interspecies cooperation. Together, they had developed technologies that benefited all peaceful civilizations. More importantly, they had shown the galaxy a different way forward, one based on compassion rather than power. Maya Zhang, now head of the Joint Research Division, had proven that the plague's attempt to destroy the Etherians had instead triggered an evolutionary leap. Their ability to manipulate quantum energy had grown exponentially, while human adaptability helped them master these new capabilities. Sarah watched the proceedings with quiet pride. The Horizon, fully repaired and upgraded with Etherian technology, remained a symbol of the bridge between their peoples. Its crew had grown to include both species, each learning from the other's strengths. "We've received another dozen applications for Alliance membership," her XO reported. "More worlds want to join what we've built here." The legacy of their choice to defend the Etherians rippled across the galaxy. Other species began to question the old ways of power and domination. They saw how humanity's primitive values of compassion and justice had succeeded where advanced technology and political maneuvering had failed. Earth itself had changed. Contact with the Etherians accelerated human development, not just technologically but philosophically. The two species complemented each other perfectly. Human determination and creativity balanced by Etherian wisdom and patience. As the summit concluded, Sarah met with Lyra in the Quantum Gardens where they had first planned their resistance. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if we hadn't found you?" she asked. Lyra's patterns shifted in what Sarah now recognized as a smile. "The better question is what will happen now that you did." Your people reminded the galaxy of something it had forgotten. That true civilization is measured not by power, but by how we treat those in need. The quantum network pulsed with new energy as more worlds joined the Alliance. Each addition strengthened not just their defenses and technology, but their shared commitment to protecting the vulnerable. Humanity had shown the galaxy a better path, and one by one, others were choosing to follow it. The stars themselves, seen brighter now, illuminated not just by distant suns, but by the combined light of civilizations working together. The darkness that had threatened to consume the Etherians had been transformed into a beacon of hope, guiding the way toward a future where compassion and courage meant more than power and politics. Humanity's defiance of the galaxy's cruel indifference had created something unprecedented. An alliance built on trust, mutual respect, and the unwavering belief that standing up for what's right, even in the face of overwhelming odds, was always worth the risk. As Sarah looked out at the gleaming spires of Nova Lumina, she knew that this was just the beginning. The galaxy was changing, one act of kindness at a time, and humanity was helping to lead the way.